On Sunday, the New York Giants beat the Washington football team 20-19. And first of all, this game came down to one play. Washington scored a touchdown with 36 seconds left. Kyle Allen threw a touchdown, made the game 20-19. And so Washington had a 2-point conversion. They were going for it at the end of the game, going for the win. And as a football fan with no stake in either side, I loved it. The drama was fun. It's interesting. Now, Washington fans, a lot of them were mad that I saw, were mad that their team went for two at the end of the game. Honestly, I didn't mind the call because I'm really not sure how you're more likely to win the game going to overtime in that game. It's a pretty even game, could go either way. And when you have control of your situation, why not take advantage of that? Why test fate and go to overtime? I don't see any reason. You have control. You have one play. If you win, if you get the 2-point conversion, you win the game. It's over. And I actually totally understand, Riverboat Ron, there's that whole thing, and Ron Rivera. I understand the decision here because you had the power in your hand. You controlled your own destiny. In overtime, things can happen. They can get the ball. They can score quickly or whatever. Touchdown wins the game. So I really totally understand and appreciate Ron Rivera's thinking here. We have the power. We get the 2-point conversion. We win the game. I understand it. I get it. You can win the game with this one play. I support that. I totally agreed with the call. Yeah, it's risky, but you sometimes have to take a risk to win, and I thought it was the right move. It's a divisional game. I supported the call. Now, Washington, in my opinion, they're very well coached, and they make mistakes, but it's often not coaching. I think their problem is a lack of talent. Now, I am all in on Ron Rivera. I buy it. It's working. I believe in him. That's cool to be able to say that because where they lack talent, they often have been making up for it with execution. And I really just think that, man, this team, I'm excited to watch Ron Rivera grow with this organization because in 3 years from now, Washington's going to have a lot more talent. They're going to have draft picks, and they're going to have, they're going to sign some free agents. And I really am very, very excited to see where this team goes down the road as they add more and more talent to the roster. Now, I also want to maintain one thing. I maintain the fact that Kyle Allen, bar none, is the best quarterback on their roster right now. Remember, Dwayne Haskins got benched. He was not even active for the game against New York. Alex Smith, you like him. He's a cool story, but Kyle Allen is, in my opinion, I think he's duct tape. I don't think he's the long-term answer, but he's definitely the best quarterback they have on their roster right now. In spite of his mistakes, he made some high-level throws on Sunday. I really like what I saw. Now, I saw some other stuff I didn't like. He had I remember a throw to Terry McLaurin on third down in the dirt. I went, oh, that's not good. He had 2 interceptions. And you can kind of, if you want, it's one of those rare moments where you can kind of pick your truth with Kyle Allen, where if you want to focus on the negatives, you can. If you want to focus on the positives, you can. Because you can say, well, Washington lost the game because of Kyle Allen's interception and his late fumble. Sure. No, if you want to say that, you can, right? You can say they lost because of the turnovers. But if you're going to say that, you also have to acknowledge that the only reason Washington was even in the game was because of all the positive plays that Kyle Allen made. And he made some really great throws. He had the throw to Logan Thomas in the corner for the touchdown. He had a great throw on 3rd and 18. Maybe, I guess it was 3rd and 5 at the end of the game where Kyle Allen threw for 18 yards. I went, wow, that's a big-time throw. The 2 touchdowns were great. I don't love Kyle Allen. I'm not like, oh, yeah, Kyle Allen, quarterback of the future. I'm not some crazy person. So I don't love the guy, but I really like him. He's doing some good stuff, enough for me to say, let's keep seeing what he's got. I think Kyle Allen is their most consistent and most solid, stable quarterback they have in Washington. Now, I was really, really surprised that if you told me going into the game, Washington was only going to have 1 sack all game, I'd be like, no way, that's not possible, because Washington has this crazy talented defensive line. They have Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. I just listed 5 first-round picks on their defensive line. Now, as a group combined, they only had 1 sack. 1 sack the entire game. I'm like, where's Chase Young? What's going on? And I was very surprised at how things played out. I really would have thought that the Giants would have given up more sacks to Washington. They only gave up 1 all game. That's kind of crazy to me. I also have to say that I know this is gonna lose some people, right? Because you look at the numbers and you're like, Zach, you're on drugs. Are you crazy? And I understand that. I've got a lot of patience for Daniel Jones. I think that the Giants quarterback Daniel Jones is playing very well, considering the situation around him. People are being very, very hard on Daniel Jones, and I get that the numbers look terrible. But consider that it was a crazy offseason. He's got a new system, a new coaching staff. Saquon Barkley got hurt. There's not a lot around him. Daniel Jones is in a bad situation, and all things considered, I think he's doing fairly okay. I think there's a lot of growth he needs to do, and his stats are awful. And I know we'll get crucified for saying I think Daniel Jones is playing fairly well given what's around him, but he's young, he's learning, and I mean there's this third down that really stands out to me where Washington's defense blitzed. Daniel Jones recognized it. He saw, hey, there's a blitz. He found his hot route to the running back through a great touch pass over top of the linebacker for a first down. And that's a great read. That's a great execution. That's a great throw. Found his hot route. It's rare for a young quarterback to be able to identify a blitz. I look at what they have. Jason Garrett's the new offensive coordinator in New York, and there are times where you see, this would have been a play you called for. You call a play for Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones has a very similar skill set to Dak Prescott. But surprisingly, I go, wow, that's execution I don't know that we would have seen from even Dak Prescott. So there are moments where I go, Daniel Jones making very good mental decisions. Now, too many turnovers, but he also had a big 49-yard run. Where, wow, physically he can move. He's doing some good stuff on third down. Now, the numbers are awful. He's got 3 touchdowns passing and 6 interceptions. I can't defend that. I know how bad that looks. But I'll be honest, I personally want to give Daniel Jones till the end of the year, I guess, before I come down with the hammer of judgment and say, your career is over, you're terrible. I don't see why people are so quick to just bail on Daniel Jones. I want to recognize the situation he's in, what's going on around him. And Daniel Jones, I want to give him some patience, not just because I think he might improve. It's not fair. Life's not fair. But I've seen enough good from Daniel Jones where I go, let's pause and let's wait to see what he can do, because let's give the guy till week 16, 17 before we really are so critical. We're like, let's get Trevor Lawrence and let's see what Daniel Jones has, how the year goes on with him before you completely jump ship on Daniel Jones. That's all I'm saying. I know people are going to be crazy angry about that because his numbers look really, really bad. But appearances aren't everything. And what I saw on Sunday against Washington was there were some moments of execution where I went, wow, that's all things considered fairly good. Now, I knew how the game was going to end. I knew that there was going to be a moment where, I guess all I knew was the final score. When I started watching the game live, like a day later after the game had happened. I watched it on Monday night. And I saw, that as the game was going on, it was, I believe, 13-13 at one point. And I went, man, it was 13-13. And I went, man, how cool would it be if Washington scored first and then the Giants had this game-winning drive with Daniel Jones? We never got that moment. I never saw. And that was disappointing because I really was hoping, like, maybe it's 13-13. I know the Giants win 20-19. Maybe we see Daniel Jones get this really cool game-winning drive. And we didn't get that moment, right? The defense made a play, and I was disappointed in that. But I'm just telling you, I know I sound like a crazy person, but let's be a little bit patient. Let's give Daniel Jones a little bit more time. There's been enough good that I've seen where I went, I'm going to pause. I'm going to wait and see what else Daniel Jones can do as the year goes on.